The media can criticize President Trump all they want. It's not going to put a roof over the head for the thousands of families that have been displaced in Texas. It's not a rallying cry. And at the end of the day, look, these families are struggling right now. He is going to be judged based on his leadership, not in the relief effort, but in the recovery and the rebuilding effort, how he directs infrastructure. It's going to take billions of dollars and years of leadership. That's ultimately going to be his legacy, is how he deals with this after the fact. What he did or didn't do, or what he wore, or what he shouldn't have been, or what he did, that's irrelevant. And it's a shortcoming, and it's the media just taking partisan pot shots when the president is vulnerable. It is politics as usual. And again, this is supposed to be that unity moment where we all come together and help one another. And instead, you get people exacerbating the divide in this country. And I think, this is where leadership makes a difference. We need to change that dialogue in Washington and bring everyone together to help one another, help Americans. That's what we do so well. And I think that's what this is an opportunity for.
Yeah. And it's so interesting, Larry, because if you look at the stock market, it's right at or near record highs, depending on the index that you look at. And it has not priced in tax reform. So should we get it, what happens to your 401k?
It'll be a huge catalyst for the average American who's been saving in their retirement plan. So I think it's really important because it would be so widespread for middle-class Americans. And that relief that we're seeing for Houston in bake sales and in church drives and clothing drives, it's the same relief we need to see for middle-class taxpayers through tax reform, not tax cuts. These are families that are struggling with soaring health care costs, rising education costs, stagnant wages, and this is the relief that they need to make American workers more competitive in the global stage.
So
that's what's really important here, and that's why it has to happen. And these police forces were never contemplating the types of threats that they're facing today, whether it's domestic or international. And they've got to be equipped to handle those threats. And they've also got to be trained to handle those threats. That's something that's been missing in this conversation, is they've got to have the funding to train local dedicated law enforcement so they know how to navigate and defend American citizens. Unfortunately, the fallout from the hurricane will be higher gas prices for the rest of the country. But it's going to be short term. Refineries and pipelines will be back online, but not before we see a 25% spike in gasoline prices temporarily over the next few months.